Hi, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to part 1 of my Aurelium reading wrap-up. That's right, there will be 3 of these because I did 3 majors. At least I hope I finished all 3. Last one still hanging on by a thread. I bought some extensions, but now it's cutting into Spookopoly, so life's terrifying. I will be taking you through the 6 books that I read for my Beast Master calling. I'm supposed to be nurturing, protective, and gentle. I feel none of those things currently. I almost feel a little sorry for the books that I'm about to review. Luckily, my opinions were theoretically formed weeks ago. We'll see how I stick to that. My very first class that I had to fulfill was Elemental Studies. I learned the Gust of Longing spell. In order to do that, I had to read a book with my favorite scent in the title. And spicy it is, pumpkin spicy that is, and I picked up the book everyone's reading this season, although I bought it last year until I ran out of time to read it, even though I'm pretty sure it was on a TBR. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. Now, everyone is calling this the book of the season. It's Gilmore Girls' perfection. They're lying to you. The only reason anyone's comparing this to Gilmore Girls is because they are being gaslit because her last name is Gilmore. You're being made to think it's Gilmore Girls because it takes place in a small town where there are town meetings based on the town meetings in Gilmore Girls. I'm not kidding. They are. They're identical. The characters are identical. There's a Babette. There's the town mayor. There's a Miss Patty. They're all there, folks. You know who's not there? Rory. Emily. Gilmore Girls. We don't have the grandparents, we don't have children, we don't have the academic settings, and we don't have what I realized, oh god, is that 2/3 of what makes Gilmore Girls so fantastic. So, disappointment abounds. It's the season to fall in love, just not with this book. We've got Jeannie, who's Aunt Dot, bullet to the heart. I lost an Aunt Dot in high school, still cry half the time I bring up her name. It destroyed my family. I wish I was kidding. Half of my family ended up on medication, the other half self-medicated after that death. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those videos. Anyway, she leaves her beloved niece, the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Logan's local farmer doesn't want to be involved. He was recently hurt and now is a complete and total commitment phobe who acts like a scared child around her. He's grumpy. She's sunshine. She thinks there might be a ghost. He's there to help, of course. She thinks someone might be sabotaging the cafe. He's there to save the day. And wow, does he not save the day with the smut, because that was awful. Look. It's a sweet little romance. The first half was better than the second half because in the second half you finally get to the smut and then you realize, oh god, Laura Gilmore cannot write smut. This is not cute. This is not sexy. This is so vanilla. I swear to god, what is the most vanilla thing in the world? I didn't know I could be bored reading a sex scene. Like, actually bored. I've been horrified, offended, needing to put the book down for a few moments. I have not been truly just unbelievably bored. It was 3 stars. There were cute parts, there were parts that were darling, there were parts I enjoyed, the town meetings were the best, Aunt Dot was great, but you don't have to read this. Next up on Animal Studies, I had to study phoenix keeping and I needed to read a book with a phoenix on the cover. This is S.A. McLean's The Phoenix Keeper. Check out this absolutely stunning edition from Illumicrate. I'm pretty sure half of the people read this book for this prompt because there aren't that many books with phoenixes. You'll hear more about this later. This is also the book I am watching today. Very botanical, if I do say so myself. I think we're cute together. So this is all about Ayla, and she is the head phoenix keeper at her zoo. It's set in a place that sounds very much like Nevada, Arizona. Arid. And she only has one big fiery flamey phoenix under her care, and that's Rubra. And these poor phoenixes were basically plucked, quite literally, to near extinction because of the power of their feathers, or at least what people believed their feathers could do. At the nearby zoo, there are eggs that are about to hatch, only right as the mom goes up in flames is the final thing, so the eggs can hatch. They need the final burst of heat, I guess. They are stolen from said zoo, and now she's like, oh my god, our zoo should be the new place for the breeding program. We've got the female phoenix. They're the territorial ones. Problem, their place, it could use with a little upgrade, shall we say. And while her bestie's more than happy to help, it's a little more work than she can handle on her own. Plus, she's not really a people person, an animal person. Yes, fabulous. Look, great with the animals. She has some social anxieties. Majorly. And the one person who really could help her is the other person who works with a lot of the winged animals, particularly the griffins. In charge of the griffin show is Luciana, who she happened to go to college with. This sounds great, right? Luciana also happens to be incredibly hot. Also great, right? see, they're kind of enemies, and she thinks Luciana is full of herself, and Luciana, meanwhile, thinks the phoenixes aren't quite pulling their weight and should be part of the show. They're dazzling. This sounds like a compliment to me. I don't get it. They've got beef. It's a problem. But with the entire program and basically phoenixes, the whole breed, resting on her shoulders, what is she gonna do but go to the gorgeous Luciana? Okay, so here's the deal with this one. This book is a lot more involved and longer than you think it's going to be, and this is both a good thing and a bad thing. So we get a lot more slice of life stuff, which I love to see in books like this. We really see her routine. We see how she feeds and cares for the animals. We get to know some of the animals. We see so many different kinds of animals. I've never been more terrified by someone called Maisie in my life. Yeah, water horses. Oh my God, terrifying. But we spend so many pages watching her go through all this and getting to know these birds and seeing her do all these interactions and listening to her talk about her social anxieties that you get to the point where you start propelling the book forward yourself. 80 pages in, and I'm like, boy, we've been at the zoo the whole entire time. Are we ever going to see outside of the zoo? And then 5 pages later, we see that. And then, you know, we're getting to the 100-page mark, and I'm like, is she ever going to talk to someone about this breeding program? And then a few pages later, the email gets sent. I felt like I was waiting for the plot to happen, and the book was constantly like, I don't know, at least 5 pages behind, sometimes more where it needed to be. It was just, everything took a little too long. It needed to be edited down just a little bit. There were too many details, and I very rarely say that about things. Some of the good things, though, the relationship, okay, their kiss was one of the hottest kisses I have read in so long. I think it wins hottest kiss of this entire readathon. Like, it was such a good kiss. I didn't expect it to be like that spicy and steamy, like semi in public. Go girls! The one good thing about this being so long is it really had the time to breathe and for them to sort of adjust to being around to each other, then adjusting to trusting each other, then adjusting to like go through the stuff that happened in college that they misunderstood about one another and what was really happening. And like that was where the book did a good job with the extra pages. The villain is where the book did not do a good job with the extra pages because we didn't need to know that much about him. It was so unbelievably apparent what was happening to us the whole time. The author was like waving red flags in our faces. I mean, shining neon signs were standing in front of Ayla, and it was so frustrating because I'm sure everyone else reading it felt like, hello. The animals, however, another bright point. The creatures themselves were, aside from that kiss, probably the best part of this book. They were brilliant. They were wonderful. They all had such unique little magical gifts and personalities. That was where this book truly, truly shone. Overall, I think that if it had been shortened and there was a lot of swearing. If some of the swearing had been taken out, this really could have been taken down into a much more YA feel and would have been such a great read and so accessible for so many more readers. There's just so much swearing. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the F word is out there on the preschool playgrounds. I'm warning you now. They know it. This was 4 stars for me. I enjoyed it a lot, but it definitely had a few kinks to work out. Not the good kind. Next, I had to study Shadow Misties, and for that I needed to read a standalone. And here is a book I'm going to talk about for forever. Get comfortable, grab a snack, grab a cup of tea, grab a blanket and a pet to cuddle with, because me and Lady MacBeth over here, we had a time. This is by Ava Reed, and anyone who watched me last year knows that I did not shut up about a study in drowning for like 3 months. Maybe it was 4. It might have been longer. I'm not sure. So this is basically a retelling of Lady MacBeth. We've got Roseal, and she's being married off to MacBeth. She has all these wild rumors swirling around her that men go mad if they look into her eyes, and that she's been witch-touched. She expects that he's going to be brutish and a warrior and not treat her gently, and she expects his court to be the same and be suspicious and pretty gnarly, and she knows that she's going to need to use all of her wiles and all of her wisdom to carry her through as best she can. And yes, indeed, possibly some hidden witchcraft. Now, There are things she doesn't know. She doesn't know that there is this whole prophecy surrounding Macbeth. She doesn't know that her husband has his own occult secrets going on. And when she gets there, she has no idea that there is this whole magical, delightful, wonderful thing that's going to like potentially change her life, his life, the whole world. You know, Scotland. Okay. A Study in Drowning was YA. So Ava Reid was like, hey y'all, get ready for an adult book. It is a short read, but this is not a book that you consume. This is a book that consumes you. I wish so much that I had a book club to talk about this with. This is so jam-packed. I could write a literal college paper on it. Where do I even start? If you want symbolism, if you want something to analyze, if you want something that is going to feed your brain and make you think and give you all your feminist glory and take you to Scotland and be brutal and bloody and unforgiving, here is your read. At the heart of Macbeth is always the question, are the witches the driving forces in the play, right? Do they affect Macbeth and change the course of his actions? Or would everything have happened the same way if they did not speak? In Macbeth, is a prophecy always a self-fulfilling prophecy? And that is what is explored so brilliantly in this novel. I loved the way it was done. We get all of the things that I was looking for from the play. I wanted to see the three witches. I wanted to see the famous "can't wash the blood from my hands," out damn spot, out damn spot. I wanted to see the forest coming to the castle. I wanted to see how we were going to deal with Macbeth not being able to be killed by a man born of woman. Check, 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 check. But not how Shakespeare did it. Of course not, because this is not Macbeth's story. This is Lady Macbeth's story. She starts out with her own name. She slowly loses it through the course of the story as she loses herself, her agency. I mean, getting married in those days. Vision is this beautiful theme throughout. She's forced to wear a veil because everyone's afraid to look in her eyes. Of course, she wears no bridal veil, but then veils throughout, and veiling and the thickness of her veil and the types of veils. That's this amazing theme. And back to that idea of like the self-fulfilling prophecy, it also mirrored this whole tract of her having magical powers. There's always the idea, right, of the old gods, and the more you pray to them and the more you talk about them and the more you say their names, the more power they have. Is it also true? The more credence you give to a rumor, the more times you say it out loud, the more people believe it. Does that start to make it slowly become true? The whole making men mad with her eyes thing, if she believes it, if everyone believes it, where do rumors end and where does truth start? In a world where prophecies guide major decisions, rumors can also become self-fulfilling prophecies. It is this incredible parallel with her and Macbeth. I know I'm just going on about the brilliant things that occur in this. I don't know how else to talk about this book. Towards the end, the violence got to be a bit much for me. The descriptions of pain and blood and perfect 5-starness ended there for me. It did. And I think the ending was also, I had to decide if I was okay with it or not. I had to decide if I liked it or not. And I think a lot of people are going to feel that way about the ending. But then I thought about how else it could have ended. No other ending works. There is no other ending for this book. It is the only way you could bring every theme together and make everything finally end. It is the only thing that made sense. So I totally get the ending, and I'm going to stand by the ending. If you loved Cersei, this will probably work for you. This is a bloodier, more violent, less sad, more angry take on those general vibes. The writing was just exquisite. I could have marked every page. I limited myself to this many. Ava Reid can write so devastatingly. She can just twist a knife in you, man, with a single sentence. That is the strength of this book. If you're wondering if this is a feminist retelling, Ava Reid did not shy away from the brutality that would have been true of the time period. She did not shy away from the lack of agency women have, and made sure to show it not just in the typical ways, but through some really interesting symbolic ways. Does she have power? Does she not? Can she actually bloody her hands? Can she not? These are questions that only she can ultimately answer, and she finally gets a voice and can answer. let's face it, she's an incredibly famous, I would call her villain, technically. And yet she doesn't even have her own name. She's Lady Macbeth. She has Macbeth's name. And here she gets a name. I'm trying to avoid spoilers, but I wish I could talk to someone and, what did you think about this? Did this mean this? Do you agree that this should happen? What about this here? Wasn't this symbolism amazing? It's the book that I'm dying to do that for, and I don't have anyone to do that with, and it's killing me. Ultimately, objectively, this is a 5-star book. After this, I had to take a class on recognizing morphs, so I had to read a book that had a cover change, and I chose Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This was one of the very first books that I read. I figured, oh my gosh, this is like perfect end of summer. We've got 2 kids who go to Maple Hills College. That is where this series takes place. We've got Russ and Aurora. They have this amazing one-night stand, although Russ, like, has very little self-confidence in himself. Like, you're very well endowed, apparently, Russ. You're fine. It's fine. And then Aurora gets cold feet, runs out while he's in the shower, thinking, it's fine. It's summer break. I don't have to worry about this. Of course, they wind up at the same camp where they're camp counselors, only there are very strict no fraternization rules between camp counselors. Russ takes his job very seriously. He does not want to get caught. Aurora, it's her home away from home. She didn't have the greatest home life growing up. She lets us know this right off the bat. This is where she has her best memories. She doesn't want to screw that up, but dang, he's hot. Maybe she can make an exception or two. What did I think about this? Okay, so here's the deal. Controversial opinion, Icebreaker, it was fine. I thought that Ice Skating one by Mariana Zapata was a lot better. It just kind of felt long to me. This did not feel long. This was so much better. I loved it. I thought Hannah Grace really hit her stride with her writing. The humor was fantastic. The smut was like really good. It's still pretty vanilla stuff, but it was really, really well written. Like, it was pretty hot. I loved the camp setting. There was these adorable dogs there, and the one had puppies, and they were all named after fish. So you've got like fish and flounder and tuna running around, and it was so cute and funny. And the campers, oh my god, it's so true what they do. I would have done this. They'd be like, oh my god, he's looking at you like he likes you. Oh my god, like, they would so do that. It was so funny. They alternated points of view, and I think that Hannah Grace did a really good job giving each of them very, very distinct writing voices. Like, they were very differently written. I can't imagine that's the easiest thing to do as a writer, to completely flop between 2 totally different writing voices. So I thought she did that particularly well. What I didn't love was that both of them had very similar like family situations, and they paralleled so exactly. Like, their dads were like jerks, their moms were kind of the same, the siblings like had the same roles. Everything was so same. You can understand each other and have different families. I promise. It's a thing. Trust me. Overall, this is a great read, I have to say. Definite 4 stars. It's not the best wild sweeping romance I've ever read, but for a college romance, this really did a good job. And for someone who's never been to a summer camp, they made it sound not miserable, which is impressive. Next up is Alchemy. We were supposed to take Chemical Breakdown and read a book that would make me emotional. The motion I chose was Lust, Meet Beautiful Beast by Devin Sinclair. This is a why choose romance. One princess, 3 dragons who kidnap her on her wedding day. Don't worry, her original prince was an absolute jerk. And carry her off to Dragonland. She pretty much thinks she's doomed from day 1, but no, that's not really how it goes. As you can imagine, her dragons turn out to be shifters, and they just cannot seem to kill her, so I'll let you figure out what happens from there. Did I mention it's a why choose? Okay, Devin Sinclair is my favorite why choose writer. I think she's a terrific one, and if you are new to why choose, perhaps this would be a good move from romantasy to why choose for you. This is very fantasy forward. This has a lot of world building. You're gonna get those like dragony fourth wing, all sorts of stuff going on. You're gonna get those hardcore romantasy vibes. There's a lot going on. It really eases you into the why choose world and the idea of all that. And that is why for me, this is not my favorite Devin Sinclair book. I was here for the smut. The smut did not quite deliver. This was really her first foray into true romantasy that happens to be what I choose. And I was just unprepared for that. So, not my favorite. She did a really good job. I loved her take on the dragons. She does have her own unique world for them. If you've ever read, like, I don't know, like an Ice Planet Barbarians or that type thing where a girl gets kidnapped and, you know, you're in this, like, whole new world and she's completely isolated and, like, caves and whatever, and, like, she doesn't understand the customs. There's always elders making problems and other girls making problems. If you like that kind of fish out of water setting, only it's 3 guys now, this is a great place for you to start with your why choose journey, because you're not going to suddenly be the rest into a love scene with 4 people 50 pages in. Much to my dismay. Devon Sinclair does take her time. I will give her that. She usually gives each couple their own scene before the group scene, which is pretty common in Why Choose. She's currently working on book 2. Thank the dragon. It was still 4 stars. What can I say? Dragon shifters. They do it for me. Next up was Restoration. I needed the Night Dew spell. And I needed to read something with the night sky on the cover. So I chose The Starless Sea, not The Night Circus, because why would I do that? By Erin Morgenstern. I don't know how to talk about this book. I don't even know how to describe this book. Let's attempt to describe the book to you. So, below the earth, there is this starless sea, and you go off the shores of the starless sea, there are tunnels and rooms filled with stories, and every once in a while, someone will find a door, just a door, and it will lead them to this place. And Zachary Ezra Rollins, who's called those 3 names for the entire book, is one of those people who found a door once and now wants to find a door again. He one day happens to be in his college library and finds this mysterious book that tells the story of his life. The only clue this book seems to have anywhere is that there is a bee, a key, and a sword emblazoned on the side. This leads him to the 2 people who have changed his life. Mirabelle, who is just this fierce force to be reckoned with, pink hair and is amazing, and Dorian, this very handsome mystery of a man. This library, this Starless Sea, this everything, this world of doors is in complete chaos and is at peril right now, and there are those who do everything to protect it, and there are those who would do everything to destroy it. The story, I will read the back to you, casts the spell of pirates, painters, lovers, liars, and ships that sail upon a starless sea. This 5, 6, 7, 100 stars. I finished this book and just held it and sobbed for 30 minutes. This is the best thing I've read in at least 5 years. This book just shredded me and wove me back together 100,000 times. This is my book. If you want to know who I am as a reader, as a person, read the book and you're gonna have a pretty freaking good idea of what I want the world to be, what I wish the world would be, what the world inside my head feels and looks like. This is it. The way Erin Morgenstern wrote, the characters she created, the scenes she developed. I don't know how she put the book together in the way she did. If you're a plot-driven reader, I don't know how you'll feel about this book. I've heard this can be very polarizing and you tend to either love The Starless Sea or love The Night Circus, and I'm devastated that I've now read this and I'm done. The way it was constructed was so brilliant. You're not following one plot, you're following a million plots. It's non-linear, and the characters that are the stars change and come and go, and some seem like villains and then heroes and are so important and then not important, and they represent this and then they represent that, and they are this and then they are that, and nothing is what it seems at first, and it's just perfect. It's one of those stories that just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and suddenly it's everything. And I have not fallen in love with a book like this. I mean, yes, I loved books last year. I did the like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is one of the best books of the year. This is just on a pedestal by itself. It's that dream, you know, that thing that escapes you when you open your eyes. Well, she did it. She distilled the vapor. She got to remember the dream. And it's here, it's all written down in this crazy, wild perfection, and this love letter to bibliophiles and readers and writers and believers in fate and love and magic and fairy tales. This is magic. You can't review magic. The best I can do is just tell you this is one of the best books that I ever read. And I hope you will try it too, because it was written for me, and if you're lucky, it was written for you too. And you will never have another experience quite like reading it. Freaking book. Whew. That was a rough one. Sorry, guys. The last class that I had to take for Beastmaster was Dangerous Plants, and for that I needed a book with a poisonous plant on the cover or in the title, and for that I chose The Wren in the Holly Library. This is by K.A. Lind, and this is about a girl who lives in this sort of post-apocalyptic crazy world where monsters have kind of come out of hiding and kind of taken over the cities, and it's super dangerous, and they have this sort of like peace treaty-ish with humans, and our darling little Wren, Kierce, not Kirsche like I thought, Kierce, let you know in the book, is about to break the peace treaty by breaking into the Holly Library to steal something because she's the thief. That's her literal job. That's how she makes money. But she gets caught by whom? A monster. Now, when this is a monster who catches you, it is not the worst thing that could happen. Let me just tell you that. Anyway, this guy's like, hey, how about I hire you for a job instead? My name is Graves. I think we could work well together. And haven't you ever noticed that, like, maybe you're like a little faster, stronger, better at this than you should be? Ever wondered about that? Maybe want some answers? No, yes, maybe. You're just like, well, death, job, and answers. 3 guesses for what she picks, and your first 2 don't count. So this was one of the books that I was really, really looking forward to. I was so excited to see what the mystery was, what she was going to find out. And in the end, I really can only give this like 3.5-ish stars because quite frankly, it feels like it did all the work to set up to another book kind of thing. Like, it was long, we got a lot of training sequences, we got her learning stuff, we got a lot of world building, we got a lot of what I expected, but I didn't find anything particularly, like, new and fresh, which was kind of a bummer. Like, we had, like, the gangs and the stuff you would kind of expect in, like, a post-apocalyptic New York City-esque place. We saw the typical, like, training for a heist thing like you would expect. We had all these elements that we've seen before, and you gotta make them fresh and new. And it took a while for us to start seeing any real connections. We got this whole background lore where we finally started learning things were a little bit bigger than the world as the story carried on and as we went through and things, and we definitely got a little taste of, oh, there's another guy lurking in the background, and some definite fun stuff there. The romance, I think, is what carried this book for me, which is fine. I just didn't necessarily expect it to, or there weren't enough romance scenes for it to do that, if that's what the book was relying on, if that makes sense. It was a little cheeky. It had some fun elements in terms of names and lore that it pulled from, and I definitely recognized some stuff, and there were a few fresh twists here and there. But honestly, for the most part, I didn't think it was anything special. Right up until the end, that's when it sort of really intrigued me and I got interested, finally. But getting there, I was just like... So ultimately, I'm left with a like, yes, I want to continue on with the series because the end left me really excited to see what's going to happen, and I really am interested now. The beginning was great. But a lot of the middle stuff getting there, like, I know why you had to do a lot of the stuff you did, but I'm not sure all of it was necessary. And I think some of it lacked originality, so I'm not sure how the rest of it's gonna go. But because it's playing into some interesting lore, and I think it's heading into some lore that I really like, I will keep reading. This might be a good one to wait until the second one is out to read them back to back, or at least wait until the reviews for the second one come out, because if the second one is not like great and doesn't do everything I want it and need it to do, I'm gonna say this is just kind of an series, to be perfectly frank. I know. Beauty and the Beast retellings are the best. But this one just lacked sparkle. Well, that is it for my Beastmaster classes. Yes, I'm very behind on recording these, but I look like I was covered in polka dots for a week. I'm working on catching up, slowly but surely. I like to think that maybe these bite-sized videos, okay, normal booktube size videos, will maybe be nicer for a change for everyone. We'll see, but I can't sit here in distress and not scratch anymore. So I'm gonna go take heroic amounts of Benadryl and get back to my current read and let you get back to yours. Please like and comment, let me know if you read any of these books and what your thoughts and opinions were, especially the Starless Sea. Don't crush my heart. And let me know how your semester at Aurelium went, especially if you were a fellow Beastmaster. Yes, I know. More to come. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.